this is why Minecraft peaceful mode is terrifying. I don't see why it could be, but if there is actually something with that actually makes it terrifying, then this is gonna be really cool.
Play Minecraft single player and feel like you're being watched. If you've ever walked through a dark forest at night or heard a noise deep in a cave while mining, you might have felt like something was off. This feeling that Minecraft can sometimes have has been reported several times throughout Minecraft.
Yes and no. I feel that more with normal mode though, like when there's actually things spawning and actually things that could attack me out of nowhere and scare the fuck out of me. Not when I know there's literally nothing that's aggressive in the game.
Minecraft's existence. But why is it there? The sheer loneliness of Minecraft's single player and the weird feeling that can come from that loneliness isn't anything new, with various forum posts throughout the years all making reference to a similar feeling people had while playing this seemingly innocent game. It's no surprise
Yeah, a lot of people
that
are
this
saying
scary side to Minecraft, always present in the background, has inspired imaginations all across the internet. Legends and myths like Herobrine have popped up as
that's what I thought this
creepypastas,
video was
sure,
about at first.
but also as a sort of outlet to justify this strange feeling that Minecraft worlds can have. And who could blame them? It's better to pin this strange feeling on some sort of entity, so at least there would be an explanation for why it's there. What's worse than a terrifying reason for a bad feeling? It's not knowing why you have a bad feeling. When you're truly alone. It's why so many people find the beta version of the game even more scary than modern Minecraft. The feeling of loneliness, and yet holding onto this feeling you're being watched is present tenfold in older versions. And I'll get into why later. It's this loneliness, when you are truly left alone in this world, that's so terrifying.
Confused with this.
It's why Minecraft's most overlooked version, peaceful mode, is actually the scariest. Or at least that's what you might think. See, it isn't just the loneliness that makes Minecraft peaceful mode so terrifying. It's the feeling of not being alone when you know you should be. Like there's someone else hiding in your world. So why? Why is it that in the supposedly peaceful version of the game, with no threats, no monsters, do you feel the most unsettled? Why is peaceful mode so terrifying?
Me thinking, personally, and like from personal experience here, I don't get more terrified. I don't think it is more terrifying. I don't think it's more scary. I don't get a sense of, oh, I think there might be somebody here, but I know there shouldn't be somebody here. I get the sense of I'm playing a video game doing literally nothing but breaking a tree or cooking something or doing whatever. I don't know, let me keep going a little bit.
You're in a mine shaft. 80 blocks of pure stone blocking your ascent to the surface.
Right.
You hear the echoing of your footsteps, the gentle flow of water in the distance. It's completely quiet. When all of a sudden an unsettling cave noise plays, you go deeper.
Yeah.
And eventually you run out of torches, leaving you alone in complete darkness. It is in these scenarios that one may feel a sharp sense of unease, a feeling of impending doom. It's not the feeling of knowing you're going to be attacked by monsters, it's something else. Something that makes you turn to check your back, knowing there shouldn't be anything there. But you have a bad feeling regardless. Minecraft is full of these moments where you can't help but be unsettled. But it's in peaceful mode where this strange feeling really takes over. I can't help when playing peaceful mode to look over my shoulder. Whenever I was in a cave, I always had a weird urge to check to see if anything was following me. I would have no idea what exactly I was checking for, considering there aren't any monsters. There was always some unknown presence of something that made me feel the need to watch my back at all times. I can't exactly describe why I feel this way, and why many others have reported similar feelings even in regular Minecraft. But unlike in regular Minecraft, where this feeling is constantly suppressed from the attacks of mobs, here in peaceful mode, there is no barrier. This feeling takes center stage. When there are no mobs to distract you, the horror of this world you're in takes full effect.
This is a very, very, very interesting video so far. This is actually really good.
This feeling seems to be the strongest in places typically filled with mobs. We expect something from a deep cave.
Caves, yeah.
We expect monsters and threats, and this is what we look out for because that's just how the game was designed. Without these threats, you get this liminal feeling. It feels like the cave has been ripped out of context, like something
The
should be
cave
here
gen
that
looks way
isn't,
better in Minecraft,
and the
though.
result is this unsettling feeling.
After
The
all that
terrifying
update stuff
part
they
is,
did.
you still feel a sense of urgency in these places, a sense that you should be careful. But now, it's not as easy to pinpoint why you feel this way. You can't blame this feeling on mobs like you can in regular Minecraft.
Yeah.
So your imagination takes over, and you begin subconsciously theorizing what might be out there. If I'm not worried about
That's probably
zombies or
true,
skeletons,
honestly. Um it's probably something of the effect of your mind is so, it's like when you stare at a mirror for so long. Like, I don't know, a lot of people might have heard of it or even tried it themselves. But it's the same reason why, I think, same reason why the Bloody Mary effect works. When you stare at the mirror for long enough, the brain starts to create things out of nothing. It starts to play images. It starts to um, make you imagine certain things that weren't happening, didn't happen, or couldn't happen. Your face gets all distorted and this and that, whatever. That's what happens with the Bloody Mary effect. And I think it's the same kind of thing. Your mind is so empty. It's so focused on one thing of just, okay, get the wood, get the stone. I'm in a cave. It's so single track minded once you're in peaceful mode because there's really not a whole lot to do. You're just walking around breaking things. I think that might kind of play a bit of a role of it. I think. I'm not too sure, but I think.
what exactly am I worried about? And this thought can lead you to dark places. I am not lying to you when I say if you play enough peaceful mode, you begin seeing things that aren't there. On multiple occasions, I could have sworn I saw something move in the corner of my eye or heard a pair of footsteps deep underground that weren't mine. Peaceful mode can be a psychological horror game.
It's definitely a part of it, man. It's definitely a part of your brain basically being bored and trying to have fun with itself. That's what it sounds like, man.
And it's always in places where monsters should be, but weren't. At one point while I was playing, I stumbled across a woodland mansion, an area generally considered to be late game. When I walked into this enormous manor, I was in awe. In awe at just how much I missed in previous playthroughs. The time I would normally spend fighting my way through these halls was spent instead silently wondering why nobody was here, at least on a subconscious level. And that's another thing Minecraft Peaceful Mode excels at, its existential dread. If the hostiles that built this manor are no longer around, what made them disappear? Why is it still so well kept? Why is it still standing? Who's doing the upkeep? Am I really alone here?
There's not a lot of broken...
Is there something here with me? You get the feeling that this place was once inhabited and is now abandoned, and whatever led them to disappear without a trace might be right around the corner. I never truly realized how much I didn't appreciate the scale of this place. The roof was way higher than I remembered, and when night fell, the feeling of walking down these corridors was so weird. The glow of the red carpet and the never-ending hallways. Something was bound to jump at me. Something had to be coming for me. There was no way I was alone. After a while, you start to think, if nothing's coming for me up front, something must be just out of view. If I could point to one thing I felt in that woodland mansion, it would be that I felt followed.
It's gotta be, like, your brain is playing tricks on itself. It's having fun with itself. It's like, well, you're bored. I'm bored. Here, this is scary. Like, I don't know. It's what it seems like.
By what? I had no clue. With no mobs to justify this terrible feeling I had, I created my own justifications, my own reasons to be scared. It's the same thing that happened in the caves or in the forest, only now it was stronger than ever, likely due to the fact that this was man-made. The stillness of a mansion, abandoned for who knows how long, that's clean and orderly on the inside. I left the woodland mansion feeling like I just exited sleep paralysis. The monolith became smaller behind me as I walked away, leaving it alone in the rain. But my feeling of being followed never left. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I genuinely felt kind of scared. And that's with all of my experiences and knowledge of the game. I know there can't possibly be any sort of entity I'm not aware of, but the fact I can't get the thought out of my head makes me think of all the possibilities. It also doesn't help that there are many nods to malicious entities existing within the game. The music discs 11 and 13 are both unsettling in regular Minecraft, but in peaceful mode, they're even more strange. because they shouldn't even exist. Disc 11, when played on a jukebox, starts with heavy breathing and a person running on stone. After clicking a flint and steel, likely to light the way, the person takes out a book or map of some kind as evidenced by the paper rustling and continues running. It seems like the player is running away from something, the heavy breathing and the fast running being evidence of this. In regular Minecraft, this is already creepy, but entirely explainable, likely just mobs. In Disc 13, you can even tell that they're mobs by a lot of the noises you hear in the background. But in Disc 11, there is no confirmation that whatever's chasing the person is a mob. In peaceful mode, there aren't supposed to be any mobs, so what could be chasing them?
Right.
Imagine playing
Very
Minecraft
true.
for the first time in peaceful mode and coming across this disc. There is no easy explanation. You begin to wonder, why would this thing stop at the player in the disc? What if whatever chased the person on the disc is still around? It's subtle hints like these that make peaceful mode even more dreadful. It's the same thing for the other dimensions. If the overworld feels like a creepy front for some unknown horror lurking just out of view, then the Nether is this concept done in a much more horrifying way. The Nether in peaceful mode has a lot of the same qualities as the overworld, only amplified. I felt like I truly never rested in the Nether on regular difficulties, with the piglins, the hoglins, and the fact I always had something to do. So the surroundings took a back seat, but in peaceful mode, it's different. There is literally no point in going to the Nether in peaceful mode, besides maybe getting netherite. And even that's trivial considering how generous peaceful is with health regen. So when you're in the Nether, you really are there to take it in. And when the perpetual threat of hostile mobs and all objectives vanish, what you're left with is an empty wasteland. It's in a situation like this where you notice the haunting ambience of the Nether. It's something mostly overlooked in regular Minecraft because most players are off killing mobs or trying to find materials. They don't really focus on the Nether itself as a place. In peaceful mode, the Nether has nothing to offer but itself, so every haunting piece of background noise, the bubbling of lava, the seas of orange going on forever, felt that much more nightmarish. For whatever reason, the Nether didn't give me the same feeling of being watched or followed. It gave me a completely different one.
Okay.
It didn't feel like I was being watched.
Like what?
It felt like I was truly alone in an uncaring wasteland. Whilst traveling through the Nether, I stumbled across a fortress.
That's what I feel in normal
Yet again,
peaceful mode.
the same exact feeling as the Woodland Mansion. But unlike the Woodland Mansion, I never felt followed or threatened.
Okay.
Here, I was supposed to face off against withered skeletons and blazes. Without them, it felt like a ghost remained in their place.
It's a good video.
The empty hallways and the balconies overlooking seas of lava that dissipate into a thick fog hiding.
I think it's supposed to be more of a
story
story than anything.
The Nether is a terrifying and lonely place, and it took playing on Minecraft's easiest difficulty to see that. With all this in mind, the haunted feeling of the overworld and the horrors of the Nether, imagine knowing nothing about the game and doing the same things I did. It's no wonder urban legends like Herobrine were so popular among the community back then. Just like my experience with—
Dude, fucking Herobrine was the biggest fucking thing ever. I remember, you know, all the Minecraft pranks. What was his name? Xbox something. He used to do so many of those pranks. They were so funny. All my buddies would always talk about Herobrine this and Herobrine that, whatever. Have all these different fucking stories and bullshit and fucking all this stuff. It was stupid.
Peaceful mode, the horror of Herobrine came from the fact that he never actually did anything to you. Stories of players finding man-made tunnels in their single-player worlds that they did not build, finding bizarre and almost impossible terrain generation, seeing a strange figure just outside their view. And I think
that
that's
is actually
what
a
made
really
Minecraft
weird terrain
creepypastas and horror stories back in the day so engaging. It was this collective sense in the Minecraft community.
I didn't even notice that at first. Hey, yo. That is creepy. That's fake, but that is creepy as fuck. I didn't even notice that.
Stories back in the day so engaging. It was this collective sense in the Minecraft community that there was something just out of reach, something so terrifying that never made note of its existence explicitly, but the very fact its presence was in question was enough to make you mortified to touch the game. And the fact that even those who were unaware of Herobrine would also report this feeling of being watched proved it was a universal experience for most players of the game. It's why people genuinely used to believe Herobrine was real, not as a joke, but as a genuine phenomenon, myself included. I remember nights me and my friends would attempt to find Herobrine, usually getting too scared and leaving. And it's all because his legend played into the one thing Minecraft's horror has always been about: A subtle thing you sense in the background, something you feel is so utterly terrifying and yet so out of reach. The feeling that you're not alone. This is all
Wow.
fine in regular Minecraft single player, filled with mobs to distract you from the terrifying backdrop to this otherwise tranquil game. But in peaceful
This is a
mode, there
really
are no
good
mobs.
video.
This backdrop of terror no longer becomes a backdrop. Instead, it's the main attraction, the thing you're forced to focus on because there is nothing to distract you from it. The reason I think
Yeah.
this strange feeling isn't felt as much in regular Minecraft and mostly in peaceful mode has to do with our psychology, because our
Okay.
minds are naturally trained to be afraid of peaceful mode. Okay, maybe not
Really?
just peaceful mode, but let me explain. We don't like
Okay,
being
yeah, please
scared,
do.
but in general, evolution has taught us that it's at least better to see the scary thing to know the best course of action. Fight or flight, how best to get away, what it looks
Yeah,
like.
yeah,
I know I've
that's
talked
fair.
about this before, but I
Okay.
think it applies here too. The feeling of seeing something scary, a monster, a ghost, some sort of threat to your life, is called horror. It's what you feel when you see a hungry grizzly bear coming straight for you. It's
Look
the
at his
type of
face.
fear many horror games use. In fact, the entire genre is named after it.
Yeah.
But the other
yeah.
type of fear, the type often overlooked in popular horror media, is terror. Terror is not the direct threat. It's the anticipation of the threat. It's the feeling of being stuck in a forest.
Yeah, like this. This scene gives me the heebie-jeebies. Like this. What's around that tree? What's behind this tree? What is gonna come and get me right now?
Hungry grizzly bear is somewhere around
I
here,
get the feeling.
but not knowing where.
I know what he's talking
Terror is
about.
the anticipation, the feeling that you're being watched, the knowledge that something is following you and could pop out at any moment. Experiences of terror often lead to experiences of horror. This is why we can sometimes find comfort in horror, a
Right.
comfort in the fact that at least the terror is over, at least the anticipation is done with. We can finally be at peace. But peaceful
It's always
mode
like
doesn't let you
anticipation is
feel
the
at
most nerve-wracking feeling or sensation or whatever you want to call it, because anticipation, it gives you that like gut-wrenching twist, like, you know, you're going for a new job or something. It gives you that sick feeling, that gut-wrenching twist, that like, oh fuck, like what is this gonna be, what's gonna happen, you know, what are they gonna do or whatever, like, oh fuck,
peace.
that
It's not
twist,
knowing
man.
something is watching you, it's knowing logically something shouldn't be watching you, but being weirdly doubtful of this fact. I mentioned the distinction between terror and horror in my video on liminal spaces, and wouldn't you know it, one of the most widely talked
Okay.
about liminal games is Minecraft. I could say a lot of what I think about liminal spaces about peaceful mode, and it would apply perfectly
like, something
because
scary
peaceful
about
mode
that
is so
image?
good at creating this strange but creepy
Wasn't scary
altered
to me.
reality feeling. The point is, peaceful mode hijacks our brain in a way that makes it so we must fear the pure terror the entire thing is built on. And as long as we play, we can never stop feeling this fear. So why
Yeah.
doesn't this terror apply to regular Minecraft? Sure, some of it can be felt in regular Minecraft in the background, but it's not even close to how I feel in peaceful mode. Well, I think it comes down to this. In regular Minecraft, it's really hard to be alone, to truly walk through the world with no distractions. There is no terror in regular Minecraft
Yeah, there's
because
always
every
a
moment
pig
of
or
terror is
something.
replaced with cheap horror, mostly in the form
Yeah.
of mobs. Like I said earlier, in peaceful mode, I had no idea why I was checking my back in caves, and my imagination would go wild with what could be the reason. In regular Minecraft, I checked my back to see if there were any creepers or
Another
skeletons.
thing with like,
In woodland,
I was saying, you know, it's not entirely, I'm trying to think of a proper way to word it. Let me go back a little bit
checking
here.
my back in caves, and my imagination would go wild with what could be the
Yeah, it's not entirely the fact that like the game is scary, but it's wondering, like walking around and going like, something's gonna happen or something should happen. And I think that's the brain being bored, like I was saying. It's the brain trying to fill in loose time and loose spaces and just like, okay, well, I'm not really thinking or doing anything, so let's throw a little figure over here. Let's throw a little shadow over here. Let's spook you a little. Like it's always trying to like play with you a little bit. And I think that this is kind of what he's saying again, is like he's walking around, you know, there's not a lot of mobs, you're just kind of thinking, you're alone in your head. So I think that's yeah, I think that's where it comes from.
reason. In regular
Basically being
Minecraft, I
alone and
checked my
bored
back
in
to
your
see if
head.
there were any creepers or skeletons. In
Yeah.
Woodland Mansions, I would never feel uncomfortable because of the dread of these hallways. I was on edge because I might be killed by a pillager while trying to get the loot I wanted.
Or those
Every
stupid
unknown that your
ghosts.
mind replaces with something terrifying is just a skeleton, just a zombie, just a blaze. It's a
Yeah,
constant
yeah.
distraction that stops you from finding a truly terrifying game. But even when you are equipped with enough to deal with the common mobs and they no longer become an issue, regular Minecraft still isn't as scary because by now you've gotten so used to your surroundings. You've molded the world to your liking. You can literally
Yeah.
fly.
And I mean, like, nobody's scared of the zombies. Nobody's scared of the creepers. Nobody's scared of the skeletons. You're only ever scared of them for, like, a day. And then you have all your shit. You've made iron armor. You have everything. You don't need to be scared of them anymore.
So early game Minecraft isn't scary because mobs distract you from the dreadful atmosphere.
And they're
late
not
game
scary
isn't
in general.
scary even when the mobs are no longer an issue because you've become too familiar with your world. And it's this that stops
And
regular
overpowered.
Minecraft from
She's
being
fucking
truly
hopping
terrifying.
around like crazy.
I don't hate regular Minecraft. In fact, I'd play it over peaceful mode any day for pure enjoyment's sake. But the fact that this
Okay.
barrier to how dreadful and terrifying Minecraft can be is able to be lifted by simply changing the difficulty setting seems like something that was almost intentional based on how well it works. And I wouldn't be surprised if peaceful mode was created as a way to make Minecraft more scary. It seems too perfect. All of these things
Imagine
that would
it
be scary
was.
but
That would
make
be really
sense in
cool.
regular Minecraft, but would be horrifying without mobs. Like Discs 11 and 13, or the well-kept interior of the Woodland Mansions. Who knows if these things were actually the intentions of the developers, but what I do know
Or
is that
why
they
is
make
there a random bit of poppy fields?
peaceful mode scarier than some actual
Not
horror
that scary,
games.
but still.
But of course, we've only talked about the modern version of Minecraft, but I don't just want to look at the current version. I also want to look at the older versions of Minecraft because
Yeah,
in a lot of
apparently that one
ways
was
they're even
scarier.
scarier than the current
Yeah.
version.
Sure,
Thousands of
how's
pages of
that?
forum posts discuss it. It's been the topic of several videos. It's the version of the
Okay.
game many Minecraft ARGs are set in. The old beta and alpha versions of the game are a breeding ground for the creepy, the eerie, and the downright unsettling.
The
most
fog, too,
widely
is really
talked about
creepy in the older
consideration
ones.
for why
Like
this
that.
is the case is the atmosphere of the older versions. The old atmosphere makes me feel so strange. The fog, much closer and thicker than in modern Minecraft.
Yep.
The old
See?
terrain generation, creating environments that would seem impossible by today's standards. And those caves, those winding, dark, narrow caves, always illuminated
should've
by
kept
torches
World
that
Gen
never
like
seem
that.
to go far enough. It's no secret that the alpha
Doesn't
and beta
happen
versions
enough.
of the game can be terrifying. And just like with regular Minecraft, playing on peaceful mode amplifies this terror. It allows you to truly take in what made the beta version so deeply unsettling for so many people. This feeling I had of being watched was enhanced tenfold. The short render distance and thick fog
'cause there's a
many
little
veteran
red thing over
players
there,
have
you
to
think
play
it's an
with
eyeball.
is the definition of terror. It constantly makes you question just what could be outside in the places you can't see. It also helped that I just
Yeah, the
don't
fog
know
is
beta
a
Minecraft
big
as well
part
as
of
the
it.
modern version. It felt more like a completely new experience
Like, that
rather
fog
than
is
the
crazy.
same game viewed from a different lens. Everything culminated to make an experience that was much scarier than modern
Yeah, like that
Minecraft's peaceful
valley. Oh my
mode.
god.
It also doesn't help that several ARGs, or altered reality games, both old and new, depict alpha and beta versions of the game, likely because it was just generally scarier. The best Minecraft ARGs,
Sure.
in my opinion at least, are the simple ones, the types that tap into why this earlier version was so scary. Herobrine is a good example as a sort of semi-ARG, but I think the best Minecraft ARG by far is one that only has one episode. It's one that is 14 minutes long, was made 14 years ago, and is still the single scariest piece of Minecraft media I have ever seen.
Okay.
And it scares me to my very core on concept alone. This
Oh,
ARG
shit.
is terrifying. Actually,
why?
ARG is a bit of a misnomer, because this video is actually 100% real. It's a video with a 9-word
Oh.
title, 9 words that give me chills.
Shit.
It's called Very Strange House in Minecraft I Did Not Build. There are no entities or any actual scary elements. It's simply a story of a player that stumbled across a base they did not build and exploring it. It's stories like this, and Herobrine's, that I feel really capture what many beta Minecraft players were thinking. Playing beta itself, I would always feel like I was about to come across something strange. That there's no way this world isn't haunted. There's no way this was normal. There's
There's no way the
I'm
guy
alone.
actually stumbled
And both
across
the
that.
Strange House and Herobrine address that underlying fear of beta Minecraft, even without peaceful mode. but with peaceful mode, it's that much more apparent. Also, just to address something I said
Definitely a fake
earlier,
video.
yes, the creator of the original video actually found a house he did not build. It wasn't fake. It was actually part of an old chunk glitch, where very rarely chunks from other worlds would be present in new worlds. But just imagine hearing about
Oh,
Herobrine and stumbling across something like that. And in the old
huh.
version, it really didn't even need to be a full structure.
That's
Any weird
interesting.
terrain generation, like unnatural looking one by one holes, contributed to this feeling of intentionality, like something is letting you know it's watching.
Yeah, that stuff.
During the nights in beta, instead of being scared of the
They should kind of like, I mean, maybe not add it back, but there should be some way to kind of get that still. Like, that's a really cool part of Minecraft. The crazy generation, the floating islands, like beside mountains and stuff. Like, those are the core memories that I remember. Like, I remember starting a world with a bunch of my friends, and I built my house on a floating island that was like attached to a bunch of mountains. Well, it wasn't attached. It was like, you know, it was floating off to the side of them. So I built all the way over there, and then I built my house on it. I expanded the island, and I took all the mountains down. So I was just a house floating in the middle of nowhere. And you can't very easily do that now. Like, you can't just run into a terrain gen and do that.
mobs, I was genuinely unsettled by the atmosphere, to the point where I weirdly didn't feel safe until my house was fully constructed and had windows. Even though there were no mobs, the caving experience
That's
was
funny.
similarly distressing. Like the modern version, I was constantly looking over my shoulder, but this time it felt like I
That's
really
just
wasn't
dark.
meant to see this. Both because there were no
Can't even see that
mobs,
up
and
there.
because I was playing on a 13-year-old version of the game. Playing a forgotten version, alone on peaceful mode, is one of those experiences that's hard to communicate with words. Instead, screenshots like this really do it justice. If you're like me, you've probably stumbled across several of these old liminal Minecraft screenshots, able to pull off nostalgia and eeriness perfectly.
Damn.
And I was always
I
under
remember
the
doing stuff like
impression that the
that
act
to
of making
mountains.
these took some time. Making the perfect nostalgic house, editing the photos just right, finding uncanny looking terrain. But while playing beta on peaceful,
Yeah.
during the day, and especially at night during the rain, I realized these liminal spaces are everywhere. You can't escape them. It's not some editing trick, there's no heavy altering involved. This is just what old Minecraft looked like, and it's probably why so many people found the game so scary. Because those old versions built on what we know Minecraft as today. You don't have to do much editing to make Minecraft look like a horror game. And I think
You
to a
really
certain
don't.
extent,
It's kind
it
of
is.
crazy.
The underlying thing that makes
I
Minecraft
think you
so
just,
scary
you
is
know,
a feeling.
you kind of turn up the sharpness, the saturation, and probably the film grain a little bit.
You
Horror
want to
game,
call it a
easy,
feeling of
done.
being watched or being followed, it doesn't matter. It seems, in a game as personal as Minecraft, where everyone's experience
Oh,
is
that's
different,
strong.
the one underlying factor that connects everyone is this feeling. And it's why people still find this tranquil game scary to this day. It's why Minecraft's horror is so widely recognized. It's why there are so many mods that seek to make the game even more unsettling. It's
Yeah, there's a
why
lot of creepy
peaceful
ass
mode is so
mods.
terrifying. The things around you follow you. They watch you. You can't prove they're there, but in a strange way you just know. This is the feeling of peaceful mode.
So weird.
The feeling of seeing something in the corner of your eye. The terror you feel inside the hallways of a pristine mansion in a world without people.
Yeah.
The paranoia you feel checking your surroundings in a dark cave knowing it should be impossible for something to be there. It should be. The culmination is an overlooked difficulty setting, the easiest difficulty setting, and
Mm-hmm.
whether this strange terror of Minecraft peaceful mode was actually intentional or not may never be answered. All I can answer for you now is why.
Damn.
Why Minecraft feels scary, why the older versions are terrifying, why it
It's
feels
a
like you're
good
being
video.
watched, and why the supposedly most peaceful way to play Minecraft is actually the scariest.
Huh. So I'm gonna give my thoughts on that. As I was saying earlier, I think a lot of it comes from the boredom in the brain, and the brain trying to fill the dead space. You know, you're running around for 20 minutes. Your brain doesn't really like being bored all that often. Your brain really hates being bored. It's always trying to do something to make itself not bored. So I think that's where a lot of it comes into play. Um, but secondarily, I don't feel this to like a heavy degree. Like there's times where I'll be running around and I get like a wave of like, oh, that's a little bit creepy. This kind of feels off, or like, you know. But a lot of the time when I'm playing Minecraft, if I'm playing I haven't played Minecraft in fucking years at this point now, but when I was playing Minecraft, when I would play it, and I would play it a lot, I would never feel like that in peaceful. Like very, 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 very minimally would I ever feel like that in peaceful. Um, but I do, again, I do see why that would be the case. Like a creepy world, your brain's trying to fuck around with you, and of course there's like Herobrine. There's all the stories of Herobrine, anyways. So you know your brain already has a bunch of preconceived notions of scary things in the game and creepiness in the game. Plus, it's being reinforced by these weird, um, you know, terrain generations. These 1x1 holes, or you know, 1x4 holes. Um, you know, as you saw there, the person with a random house that appeared in their world. And stuff like that. I mean, it's not just that the chunk appeared there, it's that the chunk appeared there and you could not tell that that chunk was from another world. I mean, that chunk could have been 20 feet in 20 blocks up in the air. It could have been completely different and you would have very, very, very easily seen, okay, this, you know, this doesn't look right. You know, there's like a mountain type shape in the middle of the forest. But no, it was so perfect that you couldn't even tell that it was a different chunk. Let me see if I can find the front of that house. Oh, it's back, yeah, back here. I think this, yeah, oh wait, no. This is where he was walking up to it. You cannot even
You're part of
tell
an old chunk glitch.
that, here, let me go back. It's like right here. You cannot even tell that this is a different chunk. You know, it could be way up here. It could look it could be way down there because of the different levels of the chunks. But the chunk fits so perfectly that you would have never known that this is just a fuck up in Minecraft's end. So there's a lot of different reasons why I think that like a lot of people think peaceful mode is scary. But I personally don't really think it's that scary, and I don't typically get that like heebie-jeebie feeling, oh, I'm alone, what's around the corner. I don't typically get that feeling. But I mean, yeah, again, like I said, nonetheless, this is a really, really good video. 1.2 million views. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason for it. This is a really good video. Really good storytelling by him for sure. Here, let me scroll down. Check this guy out for sure. Really, really, really good.